Like Pablo Picasso said, good artists copy, great artists steal. So today we're gonna react to the worst Chinese knockoff cars. We're gonna also try to guess some of them, like this one, Grey Wall Cola. That's the name of the car and it's supposed to look like the Renault Twizy, but it doesn't look like the Renault Twizy, not at all. Definitely it's the worst version of the Renault Twizy.
Number 20.
Oh.
Monzo C60
These look like the
Hyoso.
Lamborghini
It
Urus.
is no question that the Lamborghini Urus is a dream of a car. It is the world's first super sport utility vehicle that combines luxury, sportiness, and performance with comfort and versatility. Unfortunately, at a price of $200,000, this car remains a dream for most people.
It's a dream.
It therefore makes sense that several Chinese companies would try to copy this model. Look at this Wanzhou Auto C60 Hyoso.
How much?
Suspiciously released just a year after the Urus was unveiled. You can definitely see similarities between the grille, headlights, and its sleek design. It's a mid-size crossover that recreates the Urus with some strategic tweaks to avoid lawsuit territory, and it's being offered at 1/10 the price. Number 19, Geely GE.
You just pop
is
the
that a
logo.
Rolls-Royce
And you have a
Phantom I see driving
Lamborghini.
by? Why,
These are
yes
Rolls-Royce.
and no. At first glance, the Geely GE looks a lot like the Rolls-Royce Phantom, with massage seats, a pure wool carpet, and a wine cabinet to add to the lavish outlook. Geely claims to be reinventing the classic with their Geely GE, but the vast classical radiator, phantom-like contours, and the Rolls-Royce signature flying lady on the bonnet screams creating a clone. The GE even has a starlight interior roof lining, which is a key feature of the original. So why spend $350,000 on the Phantom when you can roll up in a Geely GE for just over $30,000?
Buy a Geely GE!
Expect the same attention to detail you'd get with a
Why buy a Rolls Royce?
Number 18, SUZHOU Eagle CARRIE. If you always thought it was
This is a
difficult to
Ferrari
choose between a Porsche and a
F12.
Ferrari, then you should check out the SUZHOU Eagle CARRIE. It's an electric vehicle created by a company specializing in electric vehicles like golf carts, and it's purported to go from.
So this is a mix between a Ferrari and a Porsche. Even the logo. Look at the logo. It looks like a Porsche.
As it appears to combine the front of a Ferrari California and
Ferrari
the headlights,
California.
body, and rear of a Porsche Cayman. Even the badges of the Porsche and Eagle have unmistakable similarities in color and design. The model text at the rear is also shamelessly
How much it cost?
Pricing information isn't available, but
isn't
you can
available.
bet it's many factors less than either a real Ferrari or Porsche. Number 17, SUZHOU SR9.
This is a Porsche Cayenne.
The SUZHOU SR9, on the other hand, clearly takes its inspiration solely from the Porsche Macan.
A Porsche Macan, sorry.
2 years afterwards.
Doesn't look
The
like a
similarities
Porsche
are
Cayenne.
numerous. From the overall designs, the proportions, side pods and bumper, panels on doors, roof line, and even the mirrors.
very
The main
similar.
difference being the shape of the lights, grille, and roof rails. Porsche wanted to sue, but SUZHOU didn't even sweat, since they already cloned several other high-class vehicles beforehand. So you can bet they're coming up again. To their credit, they did recently restyle the SR9
buy a
with
Zoe,
altered front
don't
and
buy a
rear
Porsche
end designs and a smaller engine.
Macan.
Nice going, SUZHOU, but at the end of the day, it is still a clear Macan clone at 1/5 of the price.
Wow,
Number
very
16, SUZHOU Z700.
This look like a
Hey, that didn't take
Mercedes.
long. In 2015, SUZHOU released
Or
a
maybe
flagship
an
sedan
Audi?
called the Z700, which was clearly
Audi,
heavily influenced by the Audi A6L, except at 1/3 of the price. While the dimensions are slightly different but extremely close, there is no mistake that the dashboard is an exact replica of the Audi A6L. You can judge for yourself. Number 15, K1. K1 or Cologne. Due to its compact size, this car is basically a Mercedes-Benz GLA clone. It's slightly smaller than the real GLA, but they both weigh around 3,000 pounds, and it's styled like the GLA with the shape of the headlights, radiator grille, etc. However, the K1 is fully electric, which proves they took this copy a bit too seriously because they left the exhaust outlets in the design. Number 14, Geely MERRIE 300.
Mercedes
In this instance,
Class
it seems that
C.
Geely was too lazy to try to reinvent the classic, but just full-on copied the Mercedes-Benz C-Class.
Equal.
They
didn't even change nothing.
The slightest of tweaks. From the
Even the
front,
logo,
exactly
look,
the same,
they are the
complete
same.
with the ornament emblem on the hood. The Geely is simply a third of the
No,
price.
in that case, I would buy a Mercedes, a real Mercedes.
But no guarantees on the quality. Number 13,
no.
John Way UFO.
These look like a
John
RAV4.
Way Automobile probably should have reconsidered the title of this car because it's easily identified as a copy of the Toyota RAV4. It can be argued that an outdated design was used since it most closely resembled the second
Just
generation
change the logo. What's the difference? Maybe the lights.
4. but it is a clone nonetheless.
Yeah, this is
Whilst
a
most
real
clone
clone.
cars are restricted to sales in China, as they're blocked from being imported into other countries on the grounds of obvious infringement, apparently
Right.
Toyota can't stop UFO sales in Europe because it didn't get patent protection for the design in Europe. The UFO was on sale with a starting price of around $18,000, while the RAV4 starting price is over $31,000. However, the lower price does allude to many quality compromises. Number 12, Liffin 320.
It's a mini
Chinese
smart.
automaker Liffin Motors
Mini
is
Cooper,
also
sorry.
notorious for creating clones. They created the Liffin 320, which mainly copies the Mini Cooper with a touch of the Fiat 500L. The features, such as different colored roof, roundish headlamps, and dash, are identical to the Mini Coupe. It's known for being one of the least safe cars
This
on the
hardly
market,
like a
with
car.
Latin NCAP
I will never
rating
buy a
of
car
0
like
out
that.
of 5 stars.
Doesn't look like
If you're not
nothing.
too fussed about the whole
I prefer a Mini
surviving
Cooper.
thing, then you can pick one of these up for around $7,000.
Really, how many people would buy this car for $7,000? No way.
Which is
I'll
one
never
fourth the
buy
price
this.
of a Mini Cooper produced in the same year. Number 11, Liffin Xuanlong MPV.
Ooh, this is a Ford
Didn't take long
X-Max?
for Liffin to reappear. This one's a copy of the Ford S-Max.
S-Max.
Liffin copied the overall design, roof lines, window lines, front windshield,
similar.
shape of the third side window, and the
They
line
changed
over the
nothing.
doors. Of course, it's just a fraction of the price of its counterpart, but just know, choosing between the clone and
very
the
cheaper.
real deal might just be a matter of life and death. Number 10, Chery QQ.
This is a
A few years
Chevrolet
after
Matiz.
the Daewoo Matiz was released, the state-owned
Yeah.
Chinese company Chery decided to produce its version of the car, but the result was less than stellar. The cars look almost exactly alike,
They're the
and many of
same.
their parts were interchangeable. Going for roughly half the price of the Matiz, the Chery QQ was said to be so tiny it looks like a lawnmower.
Really?
Only 11.6 feet long, Chery's still trying to outfit the car with 5 doors
For
to see people
$5,000?
in the back. Want to know what is the not-so-Chery on top? It has no radio or air conditioning. Number 9,
So I'm gonna spend $5,000 for something that has no radio. Never.
Xuanhuan
This is
Nova.
smart.
Maybe one of the more brazen clones is
And
the
he's smart.
Xuanhuan Nova,
Smart too.
which is a copy of the Smart 4.2. Not only did Xiangwan launch the 4.2 in 2007, but they had the audacity to use the slogan "smarter than the rest." That doesn't sound too noble to me.
I don't
The
think
Nova was
so.
priced between 8,880 and 11,800 euros, compared to the Smart 4.2, which started at 9,000.
Buy a real smart, 9,850. Why spend this amount of money for something that is just a copy, a clone?
850 euros. Production of the Noble ended in 2013, but there are still sellers offering the conversion kits. Number 8, BAIC BJ80.
This is like a
Nope,
G-Wagon.
This isn't the Mercedes G-Class, but
Yes.
the BAIC BJ80. This ripoff is unmistakable because of its shape and the fact that both vehicles look ready to tackle anything. In 2018, BAIC also rolled out a 6x6 version that channels AMG's G63 6x6 pickup. Most recently, China's military named it as the most reliable off-road vehicle, but this seems questionable, since the AMG version has a twist-turbocharged V8 power source, while the BJ80 has a 2.3-liter turbocharged inline 4. In other words, it's
Nothing
544
comparable.
horsepower against 250 horsepower. Of course, cost would have played a factor,
How much?
as the BJ80 is much
40,000.
cheaper than its counterpart. Number 7, Yokomo 330.
This look like
the
a
Yokomo
Kia
330 was announced very
Picanto.
ceremoniously in 2015, but it's not like they tried very hard to conceal its
yes,
resemblance
a
to the
Kia
Kia Picanto. Despite it being a bit larger, the 330 is still a low-speed electric vehicle, and the only difference to the Picanto are the grills and its mirrors. You can pick one up in China for around $5,000, considerably less than its South Korean source material. Number 6,
I would buy a Kia
CH
Picanto.
Auto Lithia.
Seems like
CH Auto
wait. This look like a Audi R8 for that part.
Lithia may not be an exact clone, but it is apparent that it was largely inspired by the Audi R8. The front and
Audi
back
R8,
of the Lithia is unique, but the side profile, side fins, and roof design are definitely R8-esque. The Lithia is fully electric and powered by a set of lithium-ion batteries that are giving it a driving range of about 100 miles. Compared to other clones, it's relatively expensive, at over
How much?
$115,000,
Oh,
which is more than
Maybe I will
two-thirds
buy
the price of an
a
R8.
R8.
Number 5, Liffin 330. So when you make a copy of a popular car and it has poor sales, you have to get inventive, give it a facelift, and make it a better clone. Say hello to the Lifan 330, which is the new and improved Lifan 320, or the new and improved clone of the Mini Cooper. This time they copied the dashboard and placed the digital speedometer in the middle of the tachometer gauge, but the stereo was still round. The Lifan 330 came in 3 configurations: standard, luxury, and flagship, with prices about 1/4 the cost of a real Mini Cooper at the time of production. Despite the price saving, many Chinese consumers preferred to pay for quality, as sales slumped. It wasn't much better than the 320 in terms of safety, but it had a bit more standard safety equipment, which really makes you wonder about the 320. Number 4, Shangji Victory Jinchi X1.
Doesn't look like a Cadillac.
It's safe to say that no rapper will be singing about the Cadillac anytime soon. The Shangji Victory Jinchi X1 is a dreadful copy of the Grand Cadillac Escalade pickup. At a glance, they look the same, but on closer inspection, they couldn't be any more different. The Escalade sports a V8 6-liter engine, while its Chinese copy is a modest 4-cylinder 2-liter engine. The interior is also disappointing. It doesn't offer the luxury of the Escalade, but instead is very dull and dominated by cheap-looking black plastics.
How much?
Well, that escalated quickly. But to be fair, it's not unexpected, given that it's far cheaper.
Yeah,
Number
it's
3,
very cheap.
Yuxia Ranger X.
Look
In
like
July
an Infinity.
2015, Huang Chuyang, the 28-year-old CEO of Yuxia Motors, revealed a design for a high-performance electric
Lexus.
sedan. The Yuxia Ranger X
Tesla.
looks almost identical to the Model S, and Yuxia Motors claims that it was developed by the world's leading engineering companies. Okay. The Ranger X features a large central screen similar to that in the Model S, and has a holographic display that can show the Y emblem that looks suspiciously like a Tesla's T emblem. The company takes the copying to a whole other level by adding an operating system used by the car's infotainment services called KIT. Yes, like KIT from the 1980s TV show Knight Rider. But the hardest part to believe is probably the price tag, starting at just over $30,000.
Oh, buy that one.
BYD S8 F8.
Again,
In
another
2006,
Mercedes.
the BYD S8 was announced as the first Chinese hardtop convertible. However, it clearly wasn't the first in the world, since it seems strikingly similar to the Mercedes-Benz CLK, with the headlamps, grille, and the entire front end looking like it was taken directly from the CLK. However, they seem to have gotten the proportions wrong, so it looks a bit awkward compared to the good-looking CLK coupe. The main difference would be the prices, with the S8 being a fraction of the cost of a CLK at the time. But of course, if you still can't afford any of the typically inexpensive commercially manufactured clones, you can also resort to building your own, which is why this homemade Lamborghini deserves an honorable mention on this list. Inspired by his love of cars and the fact that there were only 21 Lamborghini Reventon cars in the world, Wang Jian set out to build his own. Okay, so his model can't reach 220 miles per hour, but it cost him around $7,500 to build, which is nothing compared to the over $1 million price.
Why buy a real Lamborghini when you can buy something that is 7,000? I will buy.
That for the real thing. Unfortunately for Wang, he was refused a license to drive his creation on the road, so he would never get to fulfill his dream of cruising the streets with his masterpiece. Number 1, Landwind X7.
These look like a Range Rover Evoque.
When the Landwind X7 was announced in 2017, it evoked a lot of controversy. Why? Because it looks just like the Range Rover Evoque first produced a few years earlier. The identical design and paint job is unquestionable. Even the branding across the top of the hood is in the same position. There were only minor differences, such as the Landwind having a chrome stripe over the grille and the headlights looking chunkier. But let's face it, if the branding was covered up, it would be pretty difficult to pick the original from the copy in a lineup. Both cars also have 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engines, but Evoque has 237 horsepower compared to the Landwind's 190 horsepower. The price for the Landwind starts around $19,600, which is a little over 1/5 of the price of the Evoque. While it's a shame most of these cars have been blatantly ripped off, this blatant stealing is only just being halted. Surprisingly, in March of 2019, the Beijing Zhaoyang District Court banned the Landwind and ordered its creator, Jiangling Motors, to immediately stop manufacturing of it. This is the first case of a Chinese court supporting a foreign company in the car industry, as China is beginning to crack down on intellectual property infringements in an effort to strengthen trade talks and American investment in China.
That's all for today. Let me know in the comment which was the worst and the best replica, and also imagine if we will have the possibility to buy those cars here in Europe and also in America. Do you think that are you gonna buy it or not? Anyway, thanks for watching, because if not, I'll be at home with you. See you with another reaction video. I'm the Genius, I'm out of here. Peace and stay tuned.